Ooh. What's up, everybody? Coach Mills here, coming at you with a brand new video. And in this video, we got a lot of things to talk about. We gotta talk about the brand new mode rotation. We gotta talk about the future of CSGO versus Valorant. Tenz burning his freaking hand right before the LAN event, and Sinatra confirming that he will be returning to pro play. We got a lot to talk about, so make sure you watch to the end. Smash that like and subscribe. But go to the GameLeap website right now, down below, for the highest quality in-depth guides you'll find anywhere, with in-depth breakdowns and VOD reviews for every single agent and map. You gotta go check it out right now down below. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. So basically, it was announced in a previous post that Replication, the mode that came out as of this act, will only be live until May 25th. But the big question comes up, what happens after that? Well, after Replication comes down, the developers say that they're going to be transitioning to a new approach for making modes available to you. They're going to be rotating the existing modes, specifically Replication, Escalation, and Snowball Fight, in addition to any other modes that are going to add in the future. Now, this is going to be rotated with the patch cadence, according to them, so about every single 2 weeks, and that means that this will officially begin 2 weeks from the Replication's launch date, which is about May 26th. That's a little bit strange because they did say that they were going to be skipping this patch, so I guess they're not completely skipping it. They're still going to add in this mode, but they're not going to be making any changes. So this is just going to be a small change for those of you who really like to play some of the existing modes. You get to have like a variety queue per se. Now, let's move on to some of the more interesting stories we have in this video, and the first one is about the future of CSGO versus Valorant. Sentinel6 actually put out on Twitter something kind of controversial, stirred up a lot of interesting takes from the community, and he said this: "Telling you, man, one day Valorant will overtake CSGO. Consistent updates and meta changes keep the game fresh. It may not happen for a while, but I believe it will. Even if Valve steps up their development, Riot built a game for long-term success." Now, for those of us who are here, of course, we're gonna have automatic bias towards Valorant. Valorant is what we always play. Some of us have played CS, some of us haven't. I didn't really play CS all that much, and most of us really want to believe in Valorant for the long term. And based on Riot's track record, with everything they did with League of Legends, consistent updates, giant, big tournament spectacles, we can expect a lot with Valorant, and that's why many people hopped aboard the Valorant train, because there was just so much faith in the company that is creating the game, and so far, I personally think they're doing a really good job. Not only are they balancing the game pretty well from the highest level, something that Overwatch never could seem to do, Fortnite could never seem to do, CS probably did it a lot better than those two games at least, but so far, in my opinion, Valorant has been balanced the best, and with consistent updates guaranteed to be at the very least 5 years in the future, Valorant is looking like a game that is going to be made for the long haul. And there's another entirely different aspect about this that I think a lot of people aren't keeping in mind. As esports is growing, it's going to be something that is marketed a lot more towards kids, played in schools, played at the collegiate level, played at the high school level. And something about a game like CSGO is not every single place is going to be accepting of terrorists, counter-terrorists, detonating bombs and things like that. Honestly, Valorant is a much more universally accepted game. It's way more popular with the younger crowd. It's way more popular with the female crowd. And it really seems like a game that is designed for esports in mind. And it's not a game that actually just fell into success. It's a game that was designed to be successful for day one. And you can see that based on everything that the game has to offer. Well, I do think that CSGO will live on for a long time in the future. I do think that Valorant is one of those new games that has the legs to really adapt and evolve in the future throughout all the new game releases, constantly creating new characters, new updates, new maps, changes to the game. It can basically be a game that remains fresh for a very long time and can be that one-stop tac shooter that anyone who really likes the genre will be able to play in the long haul. Now, in my opinion, it's not will Valorant overtake CS, it's when it will happen. But definitely let me know what you think about this story in the comments down below. Do you agree with Sick in my take, or do you completely disagree? I want to know your reasoning why down below. Now, speaking of esports, the aim god himself, Tenz, who only broke my heart a little bit signing a deal with Pro Guides, actually burned his freaking hand right before the LAN event. Here's a picture of it here, where he actually just poured hot water on his goddamn hand. Now, luckily for him and Sentinels, putting freaking hot water on your left hand and your thumb is probably one of the least affected places as far as aiming is concerned. If he like burnt his middle finger or his index finger on his right hand, that would be freaking awful. And if it was anything, a thumb on either hand is probably perfectly fine. So it looks like he's still gonna be able to play, he's still gonna be able to recover, but god damn, man, these things are your money makers. And while this is a lighthearted story that has a good ending, honestly, it is freaking terrifying that someone's pro career could be over just in an instant, just with one tiny accident. Something goes wrong with your hands and then all of a sudden you lose everything you've worked for. Definitely pretty scary, and I would highly suggest most of you to take care of your goddamn hands. Come on, man. Now, the last story that we gotta talk about is about Sinatra. Now, as far as the news around Sinatra and all the stories, I really broke that down in a separate video. You can go watch that to see my take generally. However, we need to talk about the new development, which is basically Sinatra coming back to streaming. He came back to streaming, and not only did he come back, but he had freaking like 32,000 viewers. And this is kind of par for the course for someone who comes back after being banned in any way. It happens to people like XQC or Dr. Disrespect on YouTube. If a person gets banned for any reason, they come back, they have a huge amount of viewership. Now, because of the controversy, some people were surprised, but honestly, I'm not. Really, it doesn't really matter what the controversy is. Someone comes back, they're gonna get a lot of viewers. Now, that being said, the interesting thing, a part of him streaming, he actually talked about him potentially returning to pro play. I'm gonna roll the clip, we're gonna talk about it. Let's roll it right here.
Are you going to return to pro play after ban? Probably. Yeah.
This is kind of interesting because I actually speculated that he would not be able to return to pro play after this entire situation, even if he wasn't found definitively guilty in the eyes of the law. And maybe I'm wrong about this. Maybe he will be able to find a place in a pro team, but I'm actually pretty hesitant to think that that is Sentinels. Well, he's currently on the roster. They have Tenz, but maybe because Tenz's contract is going to be too difficult, that won't be something that's sustainable long-term, with Tenz still having over a year left in his contract. Hard to know at this point, to be honest. And honestly, I don't know if any team will want to have the controversy associated with Sinatra tied to their team, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Sinatra will be unable to find a team, but maybe not a tier 1 team, maybe a tier 2 team would likely pick him up. They could get him for cheap because maybe the controversy makes him cheaper for cost-wise. I'm not entirely sure. It's definitely a really weird situation, but honestly, at this point, I have no idea if Sinatra knows what he's talking about at all, so we're just gonna have to wait and see. Definitely let me know what you think about this. Oh man, my brain is fucking fried, boys. Go to the GameLeap website in the links down below for high quality in-depth advanced guides, VOD reviews, tips, and tricks. You know, you gotta go check it out right now down below. But thank you so much for coming by. I hope you enjoyed the video. I love your faces, and I'll see you next time.